All right, welcome back for our second video on visualization and imagery. Now, you'll notice when we talk about imagery and visualization, that second box there, it says include all of your senses, include sight, smell, taste, touch, and even sound. So when we're talking about adding in these details into our visualization, it's very important to start adding in more and more senses as you go along, because that's going to get our brain to actually recognize this as being more real and get that rehearsal happening in our mind, and actually going to help it transfer into actual practice. So not only do we see things when we visualize, we want to be sort of hearing things. So what are some sounds that you can hear in your sport? Do you hear the clank of, or the sound of skates on the ice? Do you hear a soccer ball being booted down? Do you hear the crowd? Imagine some of those sounds and start bringing those into your perspective, into that visualization. What are some things that you can touch or feel, right? What's some texture? So if you have equipment on your hands, what is your gloves or your whatever you have on your hands, what does that feel like? If you are outside, what's the temperature feel like? So all these things become important details to add in. So we got sight, we got touch, sound, even smells and taste. You want to incorporate. Now, taste might not always fit in when you're playing sport. You're not usually eating something, but what is that sweat kind of coming down your face? What does it taste like when it gets into your mouth? What's that Gatorade or that BioSteel, that liquid you're drinking, the water you're having in between your shifts, for example? What does that taste like in your mouth? What does that feel like in your mouth? The more and more we add in all of our five senses, the more successful we're going to be. But there's one really important detail that we also need to add in that's not included in our five senses, and that is your emotions. If we're not adding in our emotions, we're not going to get that visceral response to the visualization, and it's not going to be nearly as effective or translate into our actual field of play. So not only do we include our five senses, but we also need to include emotions, whether it's being anxious, whether it's being excited, whether it's feeling confident, or if you're a little bit nervous. You want to visualize, not just to visualize feeling nervous, but visualizing overcoming those nerves and feeling more confident. So we have to feel those nerves first in order to overcome them. So we want to replicate all those emotions and all those senses in order to make it as realistic as possible. So what's the most important thing to remember from this video? Well, really, always make it realistic. The more realistic your visualization, the more successful it's going to be.